We will now go to our normal regular scheduled meeting. Starting early. Thank you for coming.
Have a nice night, guys. Thank you.
Probably the vice mayor to talk. What's that? Probably the vice mayor to talk. Right. He always asks about how many people serve in the community. I just thought maybe I was missing the questions. Like looking the wrong way. I don't know. He's doing great.
A lot of numbers.
He's getting ready to take everything off of consent. so-
You're a busy guy.
That's great. Thank you. Somebody that needs advice with yourself. No, I've got a rotary check to get to you guys, so.
Oh.
Anytime. Any HR.
Okay.
We'll see what this-
No.
Oh, Christmas closing.
Oh,
That was a
never
big-
mind.
Yeah, I know.
Never mind. Did not- well, I did talk to you.
And everything, I just need somebody to say, give me money.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, I'll gladly, tell me how you wanna. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
She's driving now, but there is a carpool. Yeah, and what they do is they have like this, piece, if you will, of all the people where they live, so you can kind of connect to that. Because otherwise it would just be.
Okay.
That's what you're supposed to do.
CFTs after this, and then,
Okay, we're all ready to get going?
Ready,
Ready, all right.
ready to roll.
Call the regular meeting of the city council to order. We've already had a pledge of allegiance, so we won't redo it, and we'll go directly into council person reports. So who do we want to start with?
Daddy.
This end?
I can go.
Councilwoman Allen, would you like to give us a councilwoman report?
I would love to give a report. The first thing I wanted to say was I attended Easter in the square and I had such a fun time. My son, my husband and I came and we enjoyed it. We got to see the Easter Bunny land and that was very special. And I thought the Easter Bunny did a great job. And next year I plan on getting my picture with the Easter Bunny. I'm gonna sit on one side and my son will sit on the other side. So, but great event. So I'm glad that that went so well. And then I've been attending the Westmark meetings. On May 13th, they're having an economic workforce development meeting at Grand Canyon University. And Paige and I are gonna go and there's a little 5-minute opportunity for every city to give a presentation. So we're gonna be presenting on Litchfield Square.
Great.
And then finally, I had my interview yesterday with the PW Litchfield Heritage Center to see if I would be a good candidate to sit on their board.
Did
So
you
that was-
pass?
I think I did. I had to strong arm them a little bit, but that is it.
Indeed, that's so wonderful. Councilor Fraser, would you like to,
I do not have any current updates.
okay. Councilwoman Lisa.
I'm in the same position. Just been hearing lots and lots of positives. I've been through the Saturday morning farmer's market down here. A lot of people enjoying that. Constant positive comments on our city center. So I think we're in a good place. That's all I've got.
Councilman James, no report. Councilman Ron, you got a report for us?
No report tonight, sir.
All right, Mr. Vice Mayor.
I have nothing there.
Okay, I don't have anything other than I want to thank staff for the Easter egg hunt and particularly want to thank the anonymous Easter Bunny. Who did a great job. Actually came in from a helicopter, as I understand it. I don't think we didn't get her, she would not just take a parachute out of the helicopter, but she did come in from a helicopter, so. Thank you very much to the staff for everything you guys did to put that on. It was, I think everybody enjoyed it. Thank you. All right, so now we'll go on to the city manager's report on current events.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, my report is in the packet. I would echo the comments. Thank you, staff. It's the first Easter hunt we've ever done that I know of, and thank you again for our Easter money for volunteering to be there and the energy that takes. I'll say that we appreciate that. And also Goodyear Fire and Avondale PD both. You can't land a helicopter without both of those. So that's very important. Thank you guys for your contribution. We appreciate that. It was a little bit of a hot day out there, but I think everything went well. So again, thank you for staff. Staff is very busy right now with the Hilltop project and Litchfield Square. We have a lot going on. Seems like it's developing and changing day by day. And thank you, staff, for everything you're doing. I know you guys are doing a great job, and thank you. I welcome any questions if they're already on the packet.
Thank you, sir. It wasn't in this packet, but it was in last week's packet. You said something about a potential 1487 case. And you were trying to meet with the truck. Could you just elaborate what's going on there?
Yes, sir. Councilmember James, for those of you that don't know what a 1487 case is, there's a law that if a city is found to be in violation of state law, then a representative, it doesn't have to be your representative, can file what's called a 1487 claim. And if there is a 1487 claim, the Attorney General investigates it, and the state shared revenue can be upheld pending that investigation. And depending on what the city has time to fix the problem if there's found to be a problem. Generally, the cities just fix them before it ever gets that far. We have not actually heard further on that. I did reach out, so my understanding, just to be honest about it, is that it does have to do with trucking regarding Camelback Road and Litchfield Road. I did reach out directly to the Arizona Trucking Association. I offered to meet with Tony Bradley, which is the president of the ATA, and also with Mr. Trussell, which runs the gravel plant near here. And I have not heard anything back at this time. But we have offered to meet with them to alleviate any concerns that they have, and nothing else has happened on it. But thank you for the question, sir.
Thank you for the answer.
Excuse me, question about the Hilltop project.
Yes, sir.
We have a number of things that have to happen, and they have to happen, within a relatively short period of time. And if they don't all happen in the correct order, then we're not going to meet our deadlines. So we had talked about putting together a Gantt chart. How kind of progress have we made on that?
It's progressing. And the several items that are on tonight's agenda will help to have those approved as far as the D&E.
And I think it would be helpful to the council if you would add to your report
Yes, sir.
at least 1 or 2 pages on an overall Gantt chart summary showing that you're making progress on the major items on those projects.
Would you like to see the Gantt chart included monthly, sir?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, in your at least once a month in the council packet that comes in, with our agenda materials.
Yes, sir.
So that if the council has any question about what progress you're making and whether we're going to have this thing done by August of 25, they can ask it at the council.
So was that separated by project?
Yes.
Each project will have its own line in the Gantt chart.
It's separated by section, so it's just the library project, the museum,
The museum will be on there also. Okay, that was where I was going with that.
The Albert Free project, we really don't have that much that the city has to do on it for what Albert Free has.
Yeah.
My concern is the library, the roundabout, and the underpass.
The library, the school project should have a Gantt chart.
They
We can
should.
take that and slip that into ours and make sure we're coordinating.
We should. And those are things that we've discussed, but. And so I want to see that come on a regular monthly reporting as part of the reports that come to council, where we're at on those projects.
yes, sir, we can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Just a few quick comments on that. Thanks, you'll see very shortly. Agri Free has scheduled the groundbreaking for May 1st. Both council is invited for that. That'll be at the southeast corner of the Hilltop property. So that's coming up soon. Also, the next few weeks, you're going to see West Coast arborists out there removing all the salt cedars are going to be taken down, and some of the dead palms as well. So you'll start seeing equipment up there, and it's going to start making the change to see that up there and to see that happening. Also, the old garage that's separated from the house will be torn down the next few weeks. City staff is going to be doing that. And of course, again, with the groundbreaking with Agri Free, it's going to start coming up soon, start seeing progress there. So it is getting going.
Sounds good. Any questions for council? Okay, then we'll go on to this meeting's call to the community. I don't have any requests to speak, but I see a few. Okay, is there any member of the community that wants to address the council on a non-agenda item? Okay, we'll pass on that. Presentations, we have a number of proclamations. I'm not going to read through all of them. They're all in your packet. I just want to mention a couple. First is the Arbor Day proclamation. It's obvious, I think, to anybody who knows Litchfield Park, how important trees are to this community. We, it literally defines who we are. So we're very interested in supporting Arbor Day. Building safety proclamation. There's also, I want to mention the proclamation on Professional Municipal Clerks Week. We have two superb clerks who keep us going down the straight and narrow. One of them is here guiding us through the agenda items and getting our meetings to go well. The other one is taping us so that we have a record for prosperity, and she's getting ready to go on a helicopter again to go deliver more eggs. So, thank you very much to our professional clerks. You guys do a great job for us. So there's also a proclamation concerning National Public Works Week. So public works are obviously important to everybody in the city, because that's all the stuff that we do for our residents and put together for our residents. That'll take us to reports. We have a report from the Goodyear Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Deputy Chief Tim Wayne, Goodyear Fire present March report. I'll start off with the number of incidents. We have the month of March. Total of 7 car fires. We had 59 medical responses, 3 hazardous conditions that all fortunately turned out to be nothing. And then 1 call for service, 4 good intent calls where those units were canceled en route, and then 5 alarm activations. Again, 74 in total. Our prevention staff conducted 2 plan reviews, 2 construction permits, 2 special event inspections, and 38 annual fire inspections. That's all I have for this month's report.
Questions for council? Thank you for the service you do for our community. We appreciate it.
We're proud, sir. Thank you.
Next item up is Avondale Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Sergeant Raymond, Avondale Police Department, to present numbers for March for Avondale PD. Calls for service, we had a total of 396, which is up from 285 from March 2024. A lot of that is the continued proactivity of our officers focusing on traffic enforcement. Our traffic stops were 34 this month. Last year, we're up to 111. Citations 32 to 9. Our business checks were 98 to 68, so almost dead on as far as our increase in calls for services and increased proactivity of our officers. So it's good that the crime is relatively low in this last year, giving us extra time to be more proactive in that traffic enforcement. Calls for service, 70% were officer initiated, so being proactive, 30% were citizen initiated calls for service. Only anomaly I really saw in the numbers were like our wanted person arrests or arrest warrants. We had 5 for the month, which usually we average 1 or 2. Both of those are pass-throughs. With the increased traffic enforcement, we pull people over that end up having warrants as they're driving through, and they have the warrants that were confirmed, they get arrested for the warrants. So that's a lot of our arrests, as usually the traffic going through Litchfield Park. But other than that, that's pretty much it on our end for the month. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions from council?
I keep hearing at night what sounds like racing. Are we making any headway on the?
We do a lot of enforcement there on, are you talking about like?
I think it's on
On
Litchfield
Litchfield?
or on Indian School, one or the other, wherever it is.
I know most of our focus has been Camelback, especially coming like from the 303 from Village Parkway there. So I can let my nighttime guys know to look more at Dysart and Litchfield, because we do have them usually up more towards Camelback, but I'll let them know to focus a little more on Dysart and Litchfield going north and south.
Do we have 2 or 1?
I have a question.
Councilman Allen.
I have a quick question for you. On your law enforcement report, under criminal traffic activity, it says child crime. Can you explain what that category means?
So child crime, it can be any type of crime that involves a child. So usually it can be like a child abuse or something along those lines. But usually it's a crime against the child usually. So like a child abuse, child neglect would be the most common, or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. In your report, you indicate on the corner of Luna Drive South and Luna Drive East that you found in the house dangerous drugs and a prohibited possessor and possession of a firearm. Both were arrested. This is the same location where the gunfight was a couple of years ago. Is this the same problem house that we've had problems with?
Correct. It is the same residence. We've had multiple contacts there. It is definitely on our radar. We were working with adult probation. We went in there on an authorized probation search and we found that. But we have been to that residence. Besides, from that point on, multiple times for drug arrests and various other crimes. There's been some court orders in place, violation of court orders, stuff like that. But that is the same residence.
When the gun fight was, there was indication that maybe a grandfather owned the house and a daughter was living there. Has anything changed that you know of in ownership or occupancy or anything?
So the grandfather that owned the home, he actually was a resident of Litchfield Park, lives over, I think, off of Cloverfield. He passed away a few months ago, and his widow now owns the house, is still letting his daughter stay in the house though. So it's a little bit different now that the house has gone to her, but it's,
He lived on Cloverfield
I believe so.
and passed away a couple of months ago?
Yes. And the wife now has the home, and I believe she's the stepmother. She's allowing the daughter to continue to live there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, brings us to our staff reports, finance report.
Mr. Mayor, Paige asked to apologize that she couldn't be here tonight. You may remember before we had our council meeting scheduled for a different day. So she scheduled a trip accordingly so that she's not sitting here tonight for that reason. So the finance report is in your packet. I will try to entertain any questions if there are any, and if I can't answer them, I will refer them to Paige for feedback.
Her written reports are always so thorough.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you've taken on a really hard task.
I'll tell you what.
You took it on very intelligently by not saying anything other than look at the report. Are there any questions for the city manager on finance? We'll let Paige know that you did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is our city engineer, who may have a report for your money. He may have a report. It looks like he does have a report. This is on one of the plumes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is the updates for the plume and the Luke Air Force Base. So the report is in the packet. If you have any questions, I'll respond. I did want to share the graphic that was in the packet as well. You see in the fourth quarter of last year versus the first quarter of this year, significant depletion in the plume. That's actually, went back and looked at the last couple of years. So the one on the left, it's been pretty consistent to the one on the left, and a big push last couple of years, mostly in the last couple of months, where PGA team has really increased their injection of clean water and started pushing it down. The little hook on the left, on the right hand side, the left hook there's still a little bit of contaminants, but it's way under the MCL limit. So when it gets under the MCL limit is when they start taking the color off. So what that tells us is the flow of the underground, basically the contaminants in the water and the substrate is decreasing every day. Good news for us.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Maybe a dumb question. That hook at the top up there was caused by the farm wells out in that direction, which are causing the plume to take a turn to the left. And as those areas have been developed, farming's gone away, they turn into housing, there's been less demand to pull that water toward those wells that are out there. Is the reason that we're seeing, or was it discussed, I guess, as a reason we're seeing the change in the size of the plume? Because there are less, the farming wells are kind of going away, and it's just staying concentrated, or is it a cleanup? Are we really getting it cleaned up?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So this is a small picture of what's going on. So as you can see, every one of these locations with text is either an extraction, injection, or a monitoring well. And quite a few of the extraction wells are being converted into injection wells. So instead of pulling out the contaminants, once they recognize a strategy to where they want to start pushing it, they'll convert an extraction well into an injection well and start pushing it, which is what they've done up here. So about a year ago, this was actually, this area was covered in green. So they're realigning injection pipes, extraction pipes as this plume moves. So there are still several of those like older wells that were used for the farming operations. And now City of Goodyear uses a lot of them in their potable system. Not all of them, there's been quite a few that have been commissioned, and then PGA team puts these injection and extraction wells in various locations throughout. So it's a combination of quite a few things here. You hit the nail on the head. The reason why it's this far north is because of the historic farming operations that pulled the plume north. And so now what they're doing is basically a U-turn, they're pushing it back the other way.
And the injection wells basically to put up a fence to keep it from migrating? Is that?
The injection wells, so they've really ramped up I-88, for instance. So you see this little gooseneck here, that's ramping up and pushing out the clean water, is pushing the contaminants into the locations they want. So along the south side of the RID well, they have quite a few extraction wells. So they're pushing it there, it's sucking it out, treating it, and they're actually putting it back into the RID well in a lot of locations, or RID canal in a lot of locations. So they're kind of driving it, is really what it looks like. They're steering it.
I'm not sure how much you guys know about that contamination issue, but that plume was progressing toward the city, heading toward our lake, and it's just right at that point. And we got extremely involved. We have a lot of money at it with consultants, trying to get the EPA involved, trying to get ADB2 involved, to get everybody to actually do something, to force something to happen with cleanup. And us, I think it was Goodyear also.
It's basically
a lot of money.
Avondale.
What's that?
It was really Avondale.
Avondale.
Avondale was for partnership.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money beating up the governmental entities to get out there and to do something with us before that plume was underneath our city. And it got right up to us, and to see it start backtracking away is good news.
Questions or comments?
Thank you.
Mayor Watson.
Thank you. What's the end goal on the injection wells? Is it to get it all in one area and then remove it, or what's the?
Councilmember, the overall goal is to reduce the amount of contaminant limit, the MCL limit, to the health, the EPA's under the threshold. That's the overall goal, because once that happens, then they're considered remediated more or less. Along the way, in order to get to that point, they have the combination of extraction and injection wells. So what they'll keep doing is modifying the injection well locations and adding or modifying the extraction wells until their readings start coming up lower and lower and lower. You can see the chart there. There's seasonal ups and downs, but there's a trending line through all of them. And then if you look at every one of the extraction wells and injection wells, monitoring wells, they generally are doing this. So the overall goal is to, once they start seeing the numbers come in below this 5 mark, then the colors start coming out. So it's a little elusive. There is still maybe small remnants of TCE in some areas that don't have the green, but it's under the health limit, the MCL limit. So once they do test a location that comes on a limit, they consider that area remediated and they move on to the max. So they want to consolidate it so that they know exactly where to put the extraction, and they can. Again, I call it like they're driving the plume.
If you look, and then you can't see it on this because you've got a graph there, but If you can put up just a drawing of what the plume looks like right now, put up just the plume. That one right there. If you look along almost along where the white line is on the 25 picture, where the white background is, the very first road going north and south is Dysart. You see Dysart there? That plume was almost across Dysart to the east when we started this with Avondale. And the fear was at that point, and that the plume also was north. I mean, we're way, you don't even see our lake, so the plume was not quite, the plume was as far north as where the Goodyear Park is, where the big park where the fire station is.
Right.
The park and then our lake, it was that far north. So you can imagine how much bigger the plume was when this all started. And the concern we had was we didn't want it on our lake. And the concern Avondale had is it's just across Dysart Road were 3 of their main water pumps for all the water that they served to their residents. So they didn't want the plume getting across there. So those injection wells actually were put in all along Dysart and all along the northern part of the plume, to keep it from our lake and to keep it out of their Avondale wells. And it literally drove the plume down, and then once it got drove down, then they suck it out of the ground and they remediate it and they send it down the RID canal. So it's getting cleaned up. It's significantly less than what it was when this started 15, 16 years ago from our involvement in it. But it actually goes all the way back to 1960s with interdynamics.
So it does essentially get sucked out at some point in time.
It's gonna all be sucked out, cleaned up, went through a charcoal filter and then disposed of. So, eventually that plume won't be there.
And we've had our staff monitoring these meetings on a regular basis, just to make sure this thing doesn't fall off everybody's radar again. So we know that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Because Unidynamics and probably, the federal government maybe, and, Randy's now, another company, I believe it owned Unidynamics, and the other Superfund site was the old Navy base.
Right.
And,
Goodyear.
Goodyear Phoenix Airport, Phoenix Goodyear Airport.
And there's the south plume as well, so.
But anyway,
Councilman Allen.
Thank you. The 3 wells that were recently put in Litchfield Park, are those monitoring wells?
Councilmember, yes, those are for the Luke Air Force Base Superfund site, so different.
How threatened are we by that?
We don't know yet exactly. The monitoring wells, I inquired into when we're gonna get the results. They've already pulled several samples, but they've informed us that we will not get the final results until about June.
So we're good on this plume, but we have a different one to be thinking about.
We're better on this plume than, maybe not good yet, but we're better every time we look. And we have some other information. I can tell you that the new well that Liberty is installing at Monument Point, they're actively putting it in now. They've pulled water out of there and it's tested positive for PFAS. And then to the north of Camelback in the Bethany, Dysart area and a little bit further north, all of those wells have some sort of PFAS in it. So the source is Luke Air Force Base and how it's been going overland in the drainage ways and some of the wells that are out there. So that's what this effort is going to do is identify this sort of a map for that Luke Air Force Base contamination.
Can I ask one more question?
Oh, good.
Are these 2 plumes, excuse me, connected dynamically so that if one of them,
It's the same plume.
yeah.
Different years, same plume.
No, I meant this and Luke. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Are they at all, is the water source connected enough that
There's
sucking it this way is bringing that one down?
the use of the wells is what kind of has driven these. That's why I pulled this one north, and the water being pulled out by the farming operation actually pulled some of the underground PFAS to the side. I mean, that's a theory. They haven't gotten as far as this contamination, but there's also various subunits under the ground. So in the, this is subunit A, there's a subunit B in the PGA North, which that area is more near the, say, Van Buren and Litchfield area. Then there's the PGA South, which is on the Phoenix Goodyear Airport. That one has 3 unit levels, so different groundwater contaminations. The PFAS up at Luke, that's what they're gonna try to determine with this. So they've actually, one of the 3 wells that was installed on Camelback is the 3rd one on Camelback. That was dug deeper than the other 2, so that they can determine at what vertical level the contamination exists. So we hope to get that information soon. I want to stay on top.
And it took many years for us to get a handle on where this plume actually was back then. I imagine Luke will be. It may
Luke's
take a
gonna be a
while-
lot worse.
May take a while to get a handle on where it's at.
It's gonna be a huge area of contamination.
Yeah, Luke, the Valley Utilities to the north of us several years ago had to distribute bottled water because their wells were coming back so high with PFAS. Several of us remember that. So it's a current concern, and that the water treatment plant that plugs the Agua Fria on Glendale, their effluent coming out of there tests positive for PFAS as well.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you for that report. Now we'll go on to our special projects. Not special, what did- I don't see our planner. We have our CIP projects.
I'll also fill in for
Update on
Randy.
those.
A little bit better looking. Trader Joe's.
Joe's, you got Trader Joe's coming?
I don't have as many jokes in my pocket as Randy, that's what we keep on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The capital improvement projects update list is in your packet. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
We're trying to fast track these projects, and I noticed that the contract for the library design we approved in December, but it wasn't signed until March. What happened? Why are we delaying? We're trying to fast track. It took 4 months to get an approved
Because of me.
contract signed.
Because of me.
You change something or?
Correct. I would not give them a goal of a $7 million bill. They thought about what the goal was gonna be, and they finally agreed to a $4 million building and $1 million for, or more than $1 million for TIs. So the total was gonna be $5 million, not $7 million.
Is that with the contract or the design?
It's with the design, you can design, I don't want them to design something for $7 million, I want them to design something, it's a good building for $5 million.
Got it.
We
Okay.
went around for quite a while.
I know you're doing that, so good. Okay, that's good. Okay,
That's
yeah.
good, I finally got the wording I wanted.
Perfect.
So it took a little while, but yes.
The
Trying to save
architect's
this money.
contract is a percentage of the final construction price, so once we get our bid price, they'll actually adjust their final contract price.
But what we were arguing about is what are you gonna design? If you wanna design a $5 million building, that's easy. How about designing a $4 million building? Okay, that's a little harder. So I wanted them to do the harder thing, which is design a $4 million building that will meet our needs.
That looks like a $5 million building.
It's gonna look as good as a $5 million
It's
building.
going. It's like going on.
So it was a matter of just what everybody having on the same goal and the same, basically the same goal. If you're gonna be successful, you're gonna get us a building that we can build for $4 million.
Good job.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions?
Are we still talking about CIP or are we on a special project?
No, CIP. Oh, okay. So are you gonna handle the special projects for our, actually, city manager's gonna handle Randy's stuff, so I guess not.
I'll be
We can
glad
tag
to.
team.
Okay, yeah, I'd be glad to. Mayor and council, the city planner would have been here tonight, but just to be honest, it was his little girl's birthday. And I thought that was more important. Told him we could handle this, so.
Absolutely more important.
Yes, sir. So as far as the special projects update, just a few points here. I'm sure you guys have seen they have begun doing some grading on lot 3 and 4. So we're happy to see that going. And we can talk to you more about where it is with Liberty there, if there's questions there as far as the permitting goes. As far as the library goes, that's been touched on. So on Agua Fria, so it's currently in for the second review. And we're planning for the Agua Fria plans to come to DRB and City Council in May. So hopefully that happens. That's the plan anyway. The library is at 60% plans currently, so the library plans are getting closer and closer. Another thing, as far as Litchfield Square goes, sir, we're expecting a plan set to hopefully be submitted this week by Pointer. That's on lot 13 and 14. So we don't have them yet, but he says they're gonna be turned in this week, so we look forward to seeing those. A little update for you guys on the Thomas. I know Councilmember James asked about this. Is that the on-site civil landscaping and wall plans have not yet been resubmitted nor approved. And then also the TI plans cannot be submitted until all on-site improvements are completed by the developer. And the developer has been told that in writing, so there's no question.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. You hit exactly on my question. It's on page 54, your comment. Why can't we accept and process but not approve, or at least start working on the TI plans? Why does this have to wait for something else to be done? Why can't they be done simultaneously to expedite his project?
On the TIs on the Thomas, sir?
Yeah. Why can't they be done simultaneously? Why do we have to wait for something to happen?
They, according to the DA, Mr. Vice Mayor, the DA says that it's predicated on a certificate of occupancy, and that's both whether they request a temporary or a final certificate of occupancy. So the plans can be done at almost at any time. We can process them, we just wouldn't approve them, and
Yes.
definitely wouldn't permit them until all the site civil work in the phase 1 of the DA is actually completed, not even started.
The report says that you won't even accept them to look at until that's done. And I'm wondering why we can't start working on our end. Let's go ahead, put them together, submit them. We can give them the comments back and get them pushed. So that when they do meet whatever that requirement is, boom, we're ready for them to get their permits and start working. Why do we have to have them done, then spend another 4 or 5 months?
Mr. Vice Mayor, if you don't mind, I'd like to give you some private background later on that, if you don't mind, sir.
We're having some, we've had a couple of meetings with the developer on this, and there's still some questions that are clearly defined in the DA, but the process hasn't been following the DA. So I think that's might be what Matthew wants to talk about.
Complicated situation, so. Councilman James.
Thanks, Mayor. I have a few questions and a few comments. One is lots 3 and 4. Can you just Reader's Digest version, tell me what the deal is with Liberty? It seems to be that that's now their hold up and the city's trying to help. But what's going on with Liberty on 3 and 4?
Yes, sir. So lot 3 and 4, so there is a delay there. They're waiting for permitting back from Liberty. But from our position, just to be honest about it, the delay isn't on Liberty. Those plans could have been submitted months ago to Liberty and were not. That's the developer's job to submit those plans at a certain time so they meet the timelines. And they didn't submit them earlier. They could have and did not.
Okay.
So that is holding up as far as Liberty goes. However, they're doing dirt work out there right now, doing grading work. And it's our understanding that the preliminary grading work they're doing will line up just about even with the timeline delay for Liberty. So it should be fine. Keith, would you like to elaborate on that further?
Yes, I will. So the current grading is an at-risk permit. So if they get to a point where they can't do anything other than grading, there's potential for blood set to stop. For the Liberty portion, what normally happens is when a set of plans gets submitted to a city, submitted to the developer or to the utility provider. So we got plans in 2022-23 in 2 different submittals, and at no point were those submitted to Liberty until, from what I have gathered, January of this year. So when we were ready to permit the plans, Liberty hadn't got the plans yet. And to further complicate it, Maricopa County Environmental Services Department has to approve of, it's called an approval to construct permit. So what happens is Liberty approves the plans and concept, the developer submits to MCSD. MCSD will issue the approval to construct permit. That's what allows Liberty to sign the cover sheet, which is the final approval. 2 of those steps weren't completed in the middle, but I can tell you that Liberty is working with us very well. They turned it around in a couple of months. That normally takes 9 months in my previous experience with development.
I had a question on lots 1 and 2, but I'll wait until the business portion of the meeting. And then I wouldn't mind us connecting. I had a conversation with Brian O'Connor today and maybe just provide that, but he did want me to pass along a comment that he very much enjoys working with Randy. It says Randy's very easy to work with and he's really appreciative of that aspect. And then I think just the last question, and it was in the back, what is a page turn meeting?
What?
A page turn meeting? They said they met with somebody and had a page turn meeting. I never heard that before.
That's, come in with the plans, open it up and we talk about it. It's not an official submittal. It's, hey, I'm doing this, or is this against anything, the code and the standards? If it is,
Absolutely.
break out the Sharpie and make a comment, we'll take it back and fix it.
I just never heard of that. So, that's all.
All right, any other questions? Comments? Nope. All right, thank you for your report, Randy.
Thank you.
Excuse me. This takes us to our consent agenda.
Magistrate.
Magistrate is in your packet. So if you have any questions about the magistrate report, talk to the city manager. Which takes us to our consent agenda, item 8A through G. Is there any item on the consent agenda that anyone on the council wishes to take off of the consent agenda for further discussion? Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor.
A, B, C, and D.
A, B, C, and D. All right, so that leaves consent items 8E, F, and G. Is there a motion to adopt the consent items E, F, and G? So moved. There's second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, those consent items are adopted. Now we'll start with item under consent 8A, which is one of the minutes. Joyce, Mayor, you have a question on that?
Yes, the first minute, page 65 is my notes. It dealt with the Historical Society. There was a note in here that I'm general counsel for the Historical Society, but it left out the information that the Historical Society has their own independent counsel, outside counsel on this issue. I'd like that added to those minutes.
Anything else on the minutes?
No.
Is there a motion to adopt the minutes as amended by the Vice Mayor? So moved. For second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this brings us to number 8B, the lake lighting.
Me?
Pull them off, so.
I have questions.
The question is,
I've looked at all three of the bids that we had and which were all over the board. The low bid is a little light on details. A couple of the other bids said they did not include the trenching. Does the low bid include the trenching?
It does not.
It's not.
It'll be done in-house.
Okay. And it does not specify what kind of bollards are being installed, the size, the height, the brand, LED, or anything else. What?
There'll be 36-inch baller lights, panel-proof LED lights, low lighting, shining. Same as the other ones that proposed. We picked out a panel light, provided the contractors those lights. and that's what they provide.
We have a spec of some sort to them and
We did.
we told them what they're gonna put in there?
We did.
Okay. Some of the bids say that it includes the concrete and this one does not mention the concrete for the ball.
It does. It does. It includes the concrete pillars.
Okay. And we're 100% sure. I've seen a few holes we fall into before.
I'm 100% positive.
Okay.
I did meet all three contractors on site. Had a list of what needed to be placed, conduit, concrete footers, etc. So that's all provided by the city.
There's different sizes of wire mentioned in different proposals. Has an engineer looked at this, electrical engineer, to figure out what that size wire ought to be to make that 10,000 foot run? Or
So it's considered a voltage drop. So it'll
Yes.
have half size of lake, half the other side. So they'll run two different strings of 14 gauge or 16 gauge wire. They'll hit the east side of the lake, stop, start a new tread, come back through.
14 or 16? This says 4. That's pretty big wire.
I'm sorry, 4 gauge.
And my last question was, there's no mention of a timer or anything in this bid to turn those lights on and off. How are we doing that?
It'll just be a just till dawn timer that's installed in the lake pump house.
And is that included in their bid?
It is all electrical, all parts and labor.
And how do we know that? There was some kind of bid spec that went out that said that?
It was,
Okay,
there was.
that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the project quote from Cactus Valley Electrical in the amount of $56,760 for lighting at Terra Verde Lake?
So, a second.
Any discussion?
I got one more question for me.
Okay.
When this was done before, when we put the walls along the edge of the lake, we put these $10 light fixtures on top of cheap connectors, and they all got broken off. Is there a way to reuse that wire or to cap those, or we're doing something totally new and different?
So the conduit and the footings were removed back in 2018, 2019. Most of that stuff was stripped already. I think back in completely removed
Okay,
from staff from the previous director. In 2020, we did do the solar mounted surface lighting at one point. Obviously, that didn't last very long.
right.
But the past baller lights, the concrete footers were not the best situation. So these are a different style.
Okay, thank you.
And I did take your comments in from before about vandal proof, so you need to make sure.
Well, baller lights are hard to be vandal proof.
All right, any further discussion on item 8B? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, now 8C. Mr. Right there.
I only pulled this off because I think I'm going to be probably the lone vote against it, because I still do not agree with this policy. The action is to give staff paid time off between Christmas and New Year's, add additional paid time off days, and to pay those staff that are working during those days time and a half. And my obligation is to taxpayers and citizens, and I don't see where this gives citizens any value. Staff do a phenomenal job, and I'm very appreciative of what the staff do and what the workers do, but I don't see this being in the city's best interest. So as I had mentioned before, I will vote no on C and D.
I will make a comment. I think it's the same comment I've made before, and that is that we are fortunate in our city, even though we're a very small city, and we do not if you look at the median amount of pay that we have for our staff versus the median amount of pay for similar positions in larger cities, we are not dollar for dollar competitive in many of these positions. So if we can find ways that we can make working for the city more desirable and more competitive without paying more money, then I think it actually does promote value to the residents. So I'm going to vote yes on both of these items. Any other comments or questions? All right, is there a motion to adopt item 8C, resolution 25-581, amending the personnel policy on winter closure?
So
Moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this item? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have some abstentions, or do we have, there is no abstention, you understand?
I said aye.
Aye, okay, so then
Aye.
I just want to make sure. So item 8C passes. Item 8D is a motion to adopt resolution 25-282 concerning the HR policy on overtime.
So moved.
second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion passes. That takes care of our consent items, which then gives us the ability to move on to business. We're gonna take number 9B before we take 9A.
9B.
9B is gonna be considered first. So this is a consideration of the approval of a mixed-use downtown building that Matthew is gonna make a presentation on since Randy is not here.
Mayor and Council, there's gonna be several items tonight on the Rodolfo project, and I would like to thank Mike Hughes here with us tonight at our request. Thank you for being here with his family. The first item is the approval of the plans. You will remember there were preliminary plans that came to council before. This is the final plans that were adjusted. The plan was adjusted to move the building further to the west, closer to Litchfield Road. It also included a patio area there on the east side, which you can see in those designs. This was approved by DRB, Reflects Advisory, and does in council approval. Looking at this, there were several stipulations on this. One second. And that is that we would ask that you follow the motion on the wording on the motion does include those stipulations. Several stipulations here that a building permit issued by the city would be required before any construction is to occur. All off-site improvements shall be completed in accordance with the development agreement, subject to approval by city council. The first and second floors of the building shall be no less than 10,000 square feet. Third floor shall be no less than 4,000 square feet, with a patio space no less than 6,000 square feet. Proposed rooftop lighting shall be shielded and directed down so that it will not be visible from any adjacent real property. A request for alternative design authorization is required from Goodyear Fire. The following plans will be required during the civil permit review to be submitted after this. There's various things you see. I'm not gonna read all those. And a couple other points there. And Mr. Rodolfo is in agreement with all these terms. I just felt like I should cover those as part of the motion. Again, this is the approval for the final plans as you see on your board. I think it's a great looking building to me. It looks like Litchfield Park. And look forward to seeing this project going and welcome any questions if there are any at this time. Or if you'd like to ask the developer about his plans, he's here with us as well.
So are there questions from council? Questions or comments?
I just,
Councilman James?
this was, I was gonna ask earlier, but figured I'd ask now. You know, as we're out in the public, we get asked a lot of questions about, at some point in time, could you just maybe address like what you think is when are we gonna see groundbreaking? Once, assuming everything gets passed, I think people would like to know, they've seen the dirt on lot 3 and 4 move, but just that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Councilmember James. So those items are covered in the timeline of the DA. So per the DA timeline, the groundbreaking has to occur by September 1st of this year.
Thank you.
Sir. Anything else? I'm sorry. Any other comments or questions? So you say that we need to have a number of stipulations in this motion?
Yes, sir. The wording in the motion is provided. It does reference those stipulations in the wording, sir.
Let me make sure that I've got the wording right. All right, so it just generally referred to the exhibits and the stipulations 1 through 8. That's what you're, okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the proposed mixed-use downtown building located in the northwest corner of La Loma Avenue and Village Parkway, subject to exhibits provided by the applicant and stipulations 1 through 8?
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
I'm sorry, abstain. And show that the vice mayor has abstained for a potential conflict. Next item then is going to be item A, which is adoption of ordinance 25-291 on the sale of Litchfield Square parcels 1 and 2.
Mayor, if we could just, for the record, if the vice mayor is gonna abstain, be as to all the Rodolfo items,
Yes.
just so the record's clear.
Okay, you want anything else on the record?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so Mr. City Manager, you have a presentation on
Yes, sir.
the sale of the Litchfield Square parcels 1 and 2.
Yes, sir. This is a short item. This is ordinance 25-291. This is needed to approve the sale of the property for parcels 1 and 2. We did have a BOV. A BOV is a broker obtained valuation done, and it was updated recently on this property. That appraised this property at $15 a foot. The value of this property is affected by the encumbrance of the CFD. So that is figured in when the appraisal is done. Again, it was appraised at $15 per square foot, and that's is the price that Mr. Rodolfo is offering, $15 a square foot, for a total of $913,000, $395. So again, this ordinance is not a normal ordinance. It does contain an emergency clause because it is the sale of property. So this ordinance would be approved tonight versus your standard 2 readings. Welcome any questions if there are any on this ordinance at this time.
All right, questions from council? No questions? All right. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 25-291 for the sale of Litchfield Square parcels 1 and 2 at the sales price of $913,395? So moved. Is there a second? Okay. Do we need a roll call on this? Yes. We do, right? Can we call the roll, please?
Yes. Mayor Shelf,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Faith,
Abstain.
Councilmember Allen,
Aye.
Councilmember Brainerd Watson,
Aye.
Councilmember Claire,
Aye.
Councilmember Fraser,
Aye.
Councilmember James.
Aye.
Motion passes 6.
Okay, motion passes.
Is,
You got your checkbook? Okay.
ask the attorney a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did the emergency clause require that to be in the motion, or is it okay to be just in the ordinance?
No, it's okay, just as in the ordinance.
Okay.
The motion's to approve the ordinance.
All right. So then the next item of business is adoption of resolution 25-583 concerning Litchfield Square parcels 1 and 2. This is a development agreement, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mayor and council, this item has several documents. It has the purchase agreement, but more importantly, it has the development agreement. The development agreement is actually the exhibit to the purchase agreement, but that's where the real gist of the project is. Several things I would point out to so you may have noticed that the legal exhibit for the legal description. So the way these were done, it's a very short legal description. So the one we included was actually the final plat for Litchfield Square because that shows the actual measurements. And I thought that was good as a matter of record for the future to show that because it shows the measurements per parcel. That's why it's listed that way. The DA, of course, is a lengthy document. We've spent about 6 months working with the developer on the proposal and parking and development agreement negotiation, and et cetera. So just some main points of the development agreement. Again, it's a sale of parcels at $15 per square foot, or again, $913,395,000. CFD required language. Construction of 100 public parking spaces. The remaining 50 spots we build in other places such as a garage. If the building ever has condos, the developer will be required to build 55 spots on surrounding streets. There are no residential included at this time. The city has a right to a future public access easement at no cost to the city if needed. Construction to begin by September 1, 2025. Permits by August 1, 2025. 24 months to complete construction. It does have the same late fees that the Akamozo agreement has of $500 per day.
Completing construction is something for the shell, but not conceivable with PIs.
Right.
Fine. All right.
Yes, sir. The CFD rate is not to exceed $10 per 100. Again, same language that's in the Akamozo document. The parking language. Garages may be funded by sales tax, a special taxing district, or other funding mechanism for retail uses, including restaurants. Except for residential uses, this parking obligation will not be direct liability against the developer. What that means is that we can pay for parking garages through various means, such as sales tax. The reason it says that it's not direct liability against the developer, just to clarify that, when you go eat at a restaurant, that's a pass-through. There's nothing that says that the restaurant has to pass that on to the customer they choose to. They can choose to pay their pocket, but they don't for obvious reasons. It's a pass-through. This would be the same way as well on sales tax in these retail businesses. Okay. And also other mechanisms, maybe one day you want to do things like validating parking. That's an option. So we want to leave enough room in there if there's ever a need for that. How validating the parking works is that you go into a restaurant, of course, you pay when you park in the garage, you take a ticket in, the restaurant or store validates it, and the business counts those and there's fees. There's how that works. Okay. I don't think you'll ever need to do that, but again, we want to leave the wiggle there in case you ever need that. It does include a $75,000 stormwater connection fee. For those of you that haven't been with us from the start of this project, so all the stormwater from Litchfield Square flows to the park. It all goes to the middle. It was designed that way so these lots could be zero lot buildings, and there's a cost to that. Because normally you would put stormwater per lot, but again, it's taking up building space, so we did it all under Litchfield Square Park. And we took that and divided per the square footage, and the share for parcel 1 and 2 is $75,000. That's where that comes from. Construction commences 6 months after closing. I don't see closing being a problem. This is a cash transaction, which certainly makes things a lot easier for everyone involved. So we look forward to that. It is the same reconveyance language. It was updated per the recent agreement in the Acamazo DA. The term, the development agreement does carry with the property. Whoever may own it one day. And exhibit D and E are attached for infrastructure improvements. Welcome any questions if there are any at this time.
Questions to council? No questions. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 25-583 approving the sale of Litchfield Square parcels 1 and 2 for $913,395 in a development agreement with the Rodolfo Family Properties LLC?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Oh, this is a resolution. So all those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay, motion passes. Next item is the adoption of resolution 25-584, which is involving the Litchfield Square CFD development agreement. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor and council, this is a resolution basically giving the city permission for the CFD to have its own DA with Rodolfo. This is a requirement of the CFD process.
Okay. Any questions for council? Is there a motion to adopt resolution 25-584 authorizing the city to enter into the Litchfield Square CFD development agreement with the Rodolfo Family Properties LLC and the district?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Show the abstention, please. So that takes care of that. We've almost got this thing done. One more thing to do. Well, actually, two more things. I have to say this meeting is over. No more.